Welcome back to the Brewmaster Master. It's SJB here, and he is going to talk about how you guys probably want to get in on this action, but maybe you don't want to get on the battle action. I completely get it, you know. You just have a brew and chillax and relax and watch SJB make some calculations with this puppy. Now, believe it or not, this guy's not the most complicated tower in the world. It makes sense in most situations as far as the numbers are concerned, and we can do some math and some calculations with it, which is nice, because some towers just you cannot dive deep on them without just making some crazy assumptions here. One thing I should note, though, is that I have no idea what this aura is doing on this guy. It does not seem like it gives him bonus damage. It doesn't seem like it makes him weaker. It doesn't seem like it makes them get damage over time. It doesn't seem like it does anything to them. The only thing that I can guess that maybe it somehow affects the Elixir of Might in some way, but I have not figured out how it affects him. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it gives him more damage by hitting things next to him. It doesn't seem like it heals him up or anything like that. I don't get it. I don't know what the point of this is. So, if there is an actual reasoning, an actual point to using the Aura of Effect here to do something in bonus with somebody else, I don't know what it is yet, and that will affect these numbers greatly. That being said, I'm still going to dive into it, making the assumption that we don't do anything with them, and if somebody wants to correct me, feel free in the comments below. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to restart here. I'm going to go over the numbers very quickly. So, as far as price goes, he's a pretty expensive tower overall. I mean, we're talking about 920, one of the more expensive towers in the game, but definitely not the most expensive tower in the game. As far as damage goes, it's kind of weird because you look at this and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, I like to compare things to Royal Archers a little bit. They're super duper consistent, right? They're nothing weird or crazy. They're just a tower that shoots things very consistently. I mean, you look at the damage, you're like, whoa, this is significantly more than a Royal Archer, and not only that, but we can do group damage with it. It must be absurdly good. At least that's my, first base thought here. But then you have to realize that you have to take the speed into consideration. So the speed is going to shoot out way, way slower than the Royal Archer, more than 3 times as slow, in fact. So when you take that into consideration, the total damage output is going to be dependent, obviously, on the unit's hit times the speed and the average damage. So when you calculate it all out, it depends on if you're hitting 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 units here. And if you are hitting multiple units with your single attack here, this guy does a great job. You can see easily we just hit 3 units right then and there. And obviously we didn't have very much stalling power or anything going on. But if you do use that math, then we can come up with the damage per minute per single unit, which we're going to use to get this number right here, the efficiency at the low end. If we hit a single unit with a single regular attack, this is our efficiency, 1.5, 1.53, 1.57, and 1.63. I guess the first thing you should just notice right from the get-go here about that is that as we go up to a higher tier, it gets better, which I like. I always like when a higher tier ends up getting more efficiency. You should get a bonus out of having a second, third, and fourth tier, and you have to spend more money on it rather than just spamming a bunch of first tiers, right? So I like that aspect. Very consistently going up, and nothing ridiculous with those numbers. It just goes up very slowly and nicely. I like that. As far as efficiency goes, though, again, 4 is about a good number. All right, right around a very fair and good number in this game. If you're doing 4 efficiency, you're doing great. If you're doing any less than that, you're doing probably not that great. If you're doing any better than that, you're doing great. Like, we love more than 4. So it's really going to be dependent on how many units you hit, though. If you only hit 1, it's pretty bad. If you hit a bunch of units, if you're hitting 7 units with a single shot, now admittedly, that is pretty high. You'd have to have a very good bundle of people over here and everything. If you are able to hit 7 units with a single shot here, you're going to be doing 10 efficiency. That is absurd, one of the highest numbers we've ever seen. But admittedly, the explosion is not the hugest explosion ever, so hitting 7 units with a single shot is probably a little unlikely. A more fair-ish number is probably right around 5, and probably even closer to 4, actually. So if you do the multiplication, though, actually this medium number is actually the 4 times, not 5, by the way, just as a heads up. So I'll fix that right now before I make any mistakes here. All right, so that's the 4 number. You can easily do the math on 1.5 times 4. I don't know what I was doing there. Anyways, even if hitting 4 units with a single shot, you're at 6. That's pretty freaking good, man. I mean, not bad at all, to say the least. We can easily hit 4 units a lot in this game if we do the right, stalling units and heroes and other things in the way over here. And in addition, we got a specifically stalling god that's going to make that even easier, probably. But we went, I want to use him, which we'll go over in just a second here. So as far as this guy's concerned, overall, very solid damage, very solid everything. Efficiency is good. Group damage is awesome. We always love to see it. Battle Brewmaster, I would accept him on my team, for sure, as far as an artillery goes. But there is more to him. So now we have to talk about not the Elixir of Might, but rather the Bad Batch here. So Bad Batch is an interesting upgrade, and at first, I'll admit it, right from the get-go, I'm like, if you're not using the Bad Batch, you're probably being stupid, because check it out. We get a huge explosion that stalls people, brings them all together, and then it waits until a little bit more time passes, then explodes on top of them, doing mega damage to everybody. If you use it properly, it can be an extremely, extremely awesome upgrade, right? I mean, like, heck yeah, bro. We can get a lot of overall stalling, stunning, and killing damage out of him. Specifically, if we go all the way up to a 3rd tier Bad Batch, because look at the damage, 28 to 4 to 32. But of course, we only throw every 30 seconds. That's actually a pretty long cooldown in this game. So we have to take that into consideration. So the speed per minute is just 2. The damage that we do is the average damage of the single barrel against 1 unit. Very important, against 1 unit. It also does bonus damage. It does not increase as you get to a higher level, which is a fairly consistent thing, by the way. So you can see we hit 4 units here. Boop. Actually, only 3. Only 3. Okay. Just want to throw that out there. Only 3 units with that single attack. Like, what are we getting normally? I don't know. 3, 4, 5. So, okay. We'll have to think about that for a little bit. And we have to use the cost, 200, 400, 600, to add together here to get our total damage output, which is, again, just the bonus damage plus the damage. And then that's going to give us oh, that's over one side, by the way. And that's going to give us an efficiency of 0.6, 0.6, and 0.63 per unit that we kill. So what does that mean? That means, believe it or not, that the Bad Batch itself is actually significantly less efficient than just a 4th tier Battle Brewmaster per unit hit. That actually surprised me a little bit. I did not expect that. It's mostly because, obviously, this guy's going to attack significantly faster, 20 times per minute, where the Bad Batch only happens twice per minute. So, timing-wise, of course, we can do more damage with a single attack, but we're not going to do more damage over time. But it's really all going to be dependent on how many units you hit. So the Bad Batch is going to allow you to build up more guys next to each other before it explodes. But does it allow you to get more than 2 times as many units into a single spot as a regular attack? I do not know the answer to that, but I would argue probably not. So when I first played with this guy, I thought, totally. If you're not playing with the Bad Batch, you're an idiot. It's super strong, does mega damage, freaking awesome. And now when I look at the numbers, I'm like, actually, no. No, even if you got 5 times the units, which again, if we look at the top up here, so that's 6 times the units, isn't it? 1, 6 times, no, that's 5. The efficiency of medium, I think only 4 units with 6 at the top for the regular attack, and if we hit 5 units with the Bad Batch, we're at a lower level, less than half. We're about half of what we were getting before. That's really bad, bro. That's really bad. In fact, now that I look at it, I'm like, dude, you should not be using the Bad Batch at all. In fact, I think it's not necessarily the worst ability of the game, but whew, oh boy, for an artillery, it seems like it is fairly inefficient. Inefficient overall. You have to hit a lot of units to make it worthwhile. That's really all we're saying with this. So we're going to bring that up again, and we're going to leave the efficiency on the screen so you can stare at that for a second while we talk about the last guy here. So this is the Elixir of Might. First thoughts on him is that I hated him. Okay, that was just my first opinion on him. I was like, he doesn't make any sense. He dies too easily. Even at the 3rd tier level here. If you walk over against any sort of meaningful unit that does any damage whatsoever, he's going to die pretty easily. I mean, these are just regular old base units, and he's having some trouble against them. Not necessarily dying against them, but he's definitely having some trouble against them, and he doesn't have that much time to like heal up and stuff before he has to walk over to another unit. So he has some time to heal and stuff in between waves and all that, but oftentimes he will still die if you send him against anything of meaningful value. So this is not a super duper strong unit. I mean, it's like it got a reasonable amount of damage here, 26 to 38. It's got some reasonable amount of health. You can see just 1, 2, he just got eaten. He's not super tanky. Just look at him, okay? But now we got to talk about the numbers of him. So speed, I tried to count how many attacks I would get in a minute, and I tried to be very consistent where I had him actually only attack were 10 seconds before he died, and I multiplied that number by 6 to get the amount of attacks that he would do in a minute, and I got about 40. All right, maybe he could do 45, maybe he could do 50 tops, but I thought 40 was pretty, like, fair-ish for what you're probably going to have with him at a max-ish amount. Max-ish amount, because he's going to walk around and stuff like that just a tiny, tiny bit. If he was specifically attacking the same guy over and over again, he's eventually going to die, so just keep that in mind for a quick second here. But I said 40 attacks in a possible minute here. The damage that he does is 32, 46, and 60. And if you extrapolate that out with our cooldown, the cooldown doesn't matter here. We take the cost into consideration here, 200, 300, 400 total. The total damage output that we can do is the speed times the damage, and that would be the total damage that we can do. And then that'll lead us to a final number of our efficiency. Heck yeah, boy! 6.4, 6.1, and 6? Yes! This guy, Chris, you're an idiot. He's actually rock solid, actually. The numbers prove it. Yeah, but the numbers don't tell the entire story in this situation. It's one of those situations where you really have to, like, look at it logically and decide if that actually makes sense in that situation. So I'm not going to show him off anymore. I just want to talk about one other number here, which is what actually happened in the game. So what actually happened in the game is that he ended up dying twice, which there's a cooldown of 20 seconds on the Brewmaster to pop back into existence, right? So what actually happened is I only got 10 attacks off in a minute. That's what happened. I ended up dying once somewhere in the middle. I ended up dying somewhere else, somewhere on near the end of the minute that I was watching. He ended up dying around like 50-second mark or something like that. So I ended up having 30 seconds of time where he wasn't attacking during that entire process. And yes, you could do like heals, and yes, you could move him around to protect him and stuff like that. Those are all very possible things to do. So this efficiency could be as high as 6.4. But in a real game where I did not support him at all, this is what I actually got. 1.6, 1.5, and 1.5. Just using him by himself with some more Battle Brewmasters. So what are you actually going to get? I don't know. Somewhere between those two numbers. Probably somewhere in the 2.5 range if you're healing him and doing stuff to him. But maybe 3, maybe 4 if you're like really efficient with him. But in general, not good as far as damage is concerned. Now, that does not account for the fact that you are stalling somebody, and stalling somebody next to a thing that does group damage is always a good thing. So that will add on to the possible extra damage that the Battle Brewmaster does itself. But it will not actually be efficient for you to use this guy as far as damage is concerned. That is something you want to keep in mind. So, I know I said keep things in mind a lot here in this situation, but the numbers are fairly straightforward for the regular Battle Brewmaster. How many units are we hitting? It's really going to be dependent here. 1, 7, and 4. If we're hitting at least 4 units, we're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Even 3 units is above 4, which means we're doing a great job. The Toxic Barrel ability that I don't remember the name of is pretty inefficient, actually. Pretty awful, actually. And I would not recommend using it based on the numbers themselves. But if you like it, don't feel bad about it. Just maybe consider using it a little less. And then as far as the actual Mighty Brew guy goes, holy crap, is he an interesting unit to the game. A little bit more difficult to obviously math out and calculate what he's doing, but as far as damage goes from him just actually punching things, does not do a very good job because he dies too easily. He dies too easily, and the cooldown on him is very, very long. So, yeah. That's the numbers. If you agree with me and you think I'm awesome, please press the like button. If you absolutely disgust these numbers and you think I did an absolutely terrible job, feel free to let me know in the comments below what I made, what I did wrong, what I got messed up, and what I'm understanding wrong about this unit in this tower. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a super duper delicious day.